Hello and thank you for watching. I appreciate it. You probably clicked on this video because more likely than not, I pissed you off. But in reality, it's YouTube, so what do you expect? I'm here today to talk to you about programming and why you should learn your own programming, and also all of the other free resources that you could be using instead of paying for any others. But before we get to any of that, let me start off by saying this. First, if you already bought a program, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just being facetious to, get your attention. It happens. I mean, we've all purchased things that we probably don't need or have helped us out. You never know. So it is what it is. But at the same time, that's not that huge of a deal. I'm just saying these things just to get your attention, but you can figure it out on your own, and there are many resources that you may or may not know about. So please just use this rest of this video as a resource to continue your training and or growing your knowledge and knowing where to go from here to grow your knowledge. Second, if you sell programs yourself, I'm not necessarily going to be against you. I mean, I'm not going to be one to shit on a personal business on that. I just feel like there's a lot of information out there that people may or may not know about. So this is more of a direction towards people getting free information rather than having to pay for it. If you want to keep doing that, that's up to you. I personally would never do that, but that's just on me. That's up to you and your morals. So it is what it is. And finally, coaching is not the same. I do not feel like coaching and buying a program are equivalent. If you're getting coaching, that's a completely different thing, because coaching can be very broad if you're like a newbie, or very, very advanced, depending on who's the coach and where you're getting coaching for and from and all that other stuff. So it is not about that. This is not a video to shit on coaching or anything like that, because that's completely different. But speaking about that, let's get to the first point. So the first point I wanted to make in this video is that why would you pay for something that you can make on your own? It is something that, while it does take a little bit of time in order to figure out all of the programming stuff, you can just easily watch a video or 3 or 5 or even this one, and then make your own program that is more customized to you and your personal goals or whatever you want to do versus what somebody else is saying. Now, I understand that there are people that want to take away all the thinking from their training and just give it to somebody else or be told what to do. But when it comes to the gym in general, realistically, you can never really do that, because the person that you're listening to is not you. You are you. So you have to customize it to your specific needs, regardless of who you are or who you're listening to. I mean, you don't know if that person has like knee issues, that's why they do X exercise, or their goal is to get Y flexibility and you want Z biceps or something like that. You can't really judge it based off of what they're selling out there. And specifically if they put it behind a paywall, I feel like personally that's just next level, because a lot of this stuff you can get for free, which we will get to in a little bit, and I will give you a bunch of resources. This video is more geared towards people that are on the fence about buying one and may or may not know about the free and multitudes of online resources that you can use in order to make your own. But as well,
I was originally going to have some size principles in this video, but I realized that I cannot explain everything in a short and concise format like I thought I could. So I'm going to make this an entire series explaining all the principles of training for size and all the things that go along with it.
if you're wanting to do something more like strength-based or some particular specialization like strongman or something like that, or to get stronger on a specific lift, this is not the video for you. But this is, I will point you to directions to go to learn those things, because this is not it. But if you're just generally need a program, this would be a good spot for you. But let's move on to the next point. In the time that you think you save by buying a program, you don't really save that time, because you're different than the program. You'll try to fit into the program that has been preset, although most people should be able to do it or run the program. The issue is there are sometimes where you have certain structures in what is considered like different. You might not be able to fit the structure of the program for various different reasons. Maybe you don't like a lift that's on there. Maybe your gym doesn't have the available things to use for a lift, or specifically, you just don't have time to run certain things. There are different changes. And instead of trying to adapt the program, adapt to your life, you're trying to adapt to the program, which in reality, you should have the program adapt to you, not the other way around, because we're all very different. You never know what you need to get done. So that's why I would say say if you try to save time and have somebody else think of the program for you, or you go through it and you find out that it works for a little bit, but then all of a sudden you have a life change, or you realize that X, Y, or Z is causing issues in, like, let's say your shoulder joint, you're going to end up spending more time recovering from an injury or changing the program and figuring it all out and reworking it, when in the first place you could have figured it all out in the beginning on your own and save all that time that you would have to go and change the program that you bought, and have to force feed it into your own thing and then kind of mold it. But anyways, we're on to the next point. Learning programming is not that hard. It is something that once you get the base knowledge of it, you can really adapt it to yourself and figure it all out. The only issue is that it does take a little bit of time to wrap your head around it. I will say that it took me a little bit to like fully feel like I could do it, but once I did it, it's done, and now I feel excellent about it. And I feel like, obviously, like I keep saying, like there's differences in who you are and what you want to train for, so it's better to just take your time to invest and learn how to do it and how to do it on your own, so then you don't have to listen to somebody else and then always be dependent on them. Now let's move on to the next point. YouTubers. Here are a list of YouTubers in no particular order, but I will say if they have particular information that may be more useful for you if you're looking for particular types of programming and or strength training programs or stuff like that. I'll mention it if I remember. But YouTuber list, there are a lot of good YouTubers that you may or may not know, because for some reason mainstream fitness is just negligible on these types of people who actually provide great information versus people that provide garbage information and are just vanity projects. But it's a whole other conversation for a whole other day. So let me start off rifling them off as much as I can remember them off the top of my head. Natural Hypertrophy, who has a great series called Hypertrophy Series, I believe. Basement Bodybuilding is great. Fast Lifts is great. Alex Leonidas is great. Everybody that I'm listing is great, so I'm just gonna start listening to them. Bald Omni-Man. Bald Omni-Man has a 3-hour-long video called the Berserk Method. He releases one every year with his newest knowledge, which combines strength and hypertrophy work. Would highly recommend it. Alexander Bromley, he has great entire playlists about programming. If you're a strong man or doing strength sports or whatever, go to his channel. Renaissance Periodization is good. They do a lot of hypertrophy stuff. Don't necessarily agree on everything that they do, but it's still good information and it's great programming information. Would recommend it. We have SSD Able, Herzoviak, Steve Shaw is Freaky D, Alice Power Shrug, Joffrey Verity Schofield, Alan Thrall, the OG, like, wow. And I would say there's probably a couple others that I'm not thinking of, but I will put them here.
I don't actually have any others right here, but if I do remember, I'll give them their due whenever I get a chance.
The information that you can get from buying a program, you can get from all of these people for free, including some other stuff that I will mention afterwards. But first, I want to get down to the brass tacks here. If you clicked on this video and you're like, all right, I'm not going to buy a program. How do I program? Okay, I'm about to go over it in my next point. Hello, this is Oscar from the future to tell you that I will be making this in an entire series. I thought I could do this in one small sitting. I got too wrapped up in a lot of the details that needed to go into making this video, thinking that it would be a small short video. Not the case. It's going to be an entire series. So I wanted to add this little bit extra at the end here to explain that if this is part 0, this is more of a like citing my sources type deal, but also trying to convince people to hold out to also check out these other sources, but also if they don't want to watch those things, I will give them a more concise version of many of the things that I've learned so far in the fitness game. So I want to just put that out there. There are obviously other channels that are way more in depth than I'll go, but I still want to have that information out there. It's going to be a series about the principles of size and how to get bigger muscles in general at the gym and going in depth and all that. But once you learn these things, you can make your own program for that. It's a little bit of a curve, but once you get there, you're done. You're good. I will see you on the next one. I apologize for this random cut in because I have to do it like this, but I grew too big for my britches. Let's just say that. So too much, but I'll see you in the next one for chapter 1. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. Peace.